Welcome guys to a new Kengan Omega chapter review. Today we have chapter 118, links always posted in the Discord, with us getting a new power for our boy Terashi and both fighters truly showing what they're capable of. Let's begin. As a whole, the chapter was solely focused on Terashi mainly and the fight between him and Okubo, with a little bit of an exchange between the two, both getting the upper hand in different ways, making it overall an average chapter but quite a bit to talk about. The title is The Other Ability, with it showing us the past interaction between Hanafusa and Terashi, where Terashi actually got his current face that we got to see last chapter. He mentions in the flashback as well, the reason for the change is his face got revealed, so whatever he's trying to do, he doesn't want his face to be revealed whatsoever, and every time he does get his face revealed, he's going to get it changed. So very strange dude, but Hanafusa, does this procedure on him, gets, the new face for Terashi by using the former face as a base. He tried to change the impression he would give off, and due to Hanafusa being such a good doctor, Terashi wanted one more surgery from him, talking about how weapons are unreliable. I needed a new power. Then after he recovered from his face surgery, Hanafusa did another surgery on his brain, and as we see in the fight here, as Hanafusa mentions, he uses this surgery to create his shivering based attacks, with Hanafusa also noting how clever this thinking actually is for Terashi, and that he wasn't aware that Terashi was going to use this surgery that was done on his brain to use this ability. And he also mentions if he uses this in combination with those eyes, it could definitely be used effectively in fights. Of course, that is only if he can master it. So those eyes, which get explored later in the chapter. But before moving on, let's talk a little bit about the other characters we see in the room alongside Hanafusa. So we have Dong-chen, who is finally noticing that Hanafusa is insane. We got the nurse replying to him. We need to see more of the nurse in the manga, more panels of the nurse, please. That's, all I really want at this point. And we get to see Best Boy Falcon still practicing some ninjutsu, forever training, being an absolute mad lad. Then we cut back to the fight with Okubo going for more jabs on Terashi, but this time Terashi is able to easily dodge all of the jabs that previously absolutely blitzed him, with the reason being explained shortly. But after that, Terashi goes for a counterattack, his, slap shivering blow, where Okubo was able to block the shivering attack, but it still sent him flying back quite a bit and did a little bit of damage, showing that even the lightest touch from Terashi's shivering is enough to push an opponent like Okubo all the way back and prevent him from, progressing forward, which is very overpowered. And then we have some inner monologue from Terashi as he's dodging more blows from Okubo. Even though they're so fast, I can see them clearly. And if I can see them, I can dodge them, even if I'm just an amateur. And then goes for another counterattack, this time landing directly on Okubo and actually sends him to the ground on his knees. So all it takes is one really direct slap vibration attack to send someone like Okubo onto the ground, which adds even more to Terashi's overall power and the actual hacks of this vibration ability. We have the commentators who point out that Terashi's movements haven't become any more refined or anything like that, but somehow he's able to easily dodge Okubo's attacks, with him being a world champion in the MMA world. And this is where we get the explanation of his ability. Terashi had gained another gift through his brain surgery. That is overwhelmingly accelerated processing speed of visual information, labeled as the Emperor's Eye, which instantly reminds me of that one basketball anime, Kuroko no Basket, which also had someone had an ability known as the Emperor's Eye. But yeah, we get it explained here. By improving his processing speed of sensory information, his brain is able to give orders faster, and we get a diagram next to it. So since he's able to see attacks faster than anyone else, or before anyone else realistically could due to his, superior eyes, he's able to send information to his brain telling him to dodge before anyone else can really do. So it's not really about insane reflexes, it's more about him actually seeing the attacks before anyone else could actually perceive them with their regular eyes. As a result, Terashi, who has no experience in martial arts or modern martial arts, he is able to move fast enough to easily dodge Okubo's jabs, which boast some of the highest speed among fighters, bearing world-class boxers. So I'm glad they actually clarified that. This pretty much means among many of the other fighters, Okubo is on the higher tier when it comes to jabs, but Gaolang and Carlos are on the tier of their own as world-class boxers with the fastest jabs in the verse. But from there we cut to more information about Terashi. The Emperor's Eye is an artificially created version of Kazi and Koga's Fist Eye, but its ability far surpasses that of the Fist Eye, bearing one aspect, but that alone it's far superior to the Fist Eye, which pretty much makes Terashi the character with the best eye ability in the Kengan verse. And the one, aspect or the downside of it, the Emperor's Eye is always active. Because of this, Terashi must wear a mask in order to restrict his visual input by narrowing his field of vision. This pretty much demonstrates that he can in fact see through this mask, it's just that his vision is very narrow, therefore reducing the strain on his brain. The maximum continuous use of the Emperor's Eye is limited to 60 minutes, which is good enough. I doubt many fights in Kengan are gonna last longer than 60 minutes, but it does mention if it does exceed 60 minutes of use, it can cause severe brain damage, but I doubt any fight will actually last 60 minutes or longer, which, should allow him to use the Emperor's Eye in every fight possible. From there we see Okubo rising up and at a count of 8 showing the amount of damage that Shivering Attack actually did to him, but he does seem to be very composed as pointed out by the commentators. Then we cut to Oma and Kano, with Oma saying Terashi's movements are as wasteful as ever, but he's still able to dodge those attacks, questioning whether it's kinetic vision, with Kano actually agreeing most likely. And then we cut back to Okubo with his inner monologue coming to the same conclusion that Oma and Kano did, showing that Okubo is actually thinking a lot throughout this fight, which I pointed out last chapter and is one of my favorite things about Okubo so far in this fight. Amount of inner monologue we're getting from and actually seeing him think through various things and various strategies how to approach someone like Terashi, who is pretty much filled with hacks at this point. From there we see both of them getting ready to fight again, with Terashi going over his plan to counter Okubo here. What I'm doing is very simple. I dodge with my eyes and find an opportunity to strike with my vibration. My eyes can be used for up to an hour. That's more than enough to finish him. We see Okubo charging with more strikes, but of course Terashi is able to dodge all of them, but Okubo is also planning for something else to try and get a ring out and to guide Terashi to the edge of the ring, with him being successful now that Terashi is at the edge of the ring, with this low shot of Terashi looking very skinny and very tall, very strange looking shot. And then from there we see Okubo switching to a grapple to try and get a ring out on Terashi, and Terashi is preparing to counter this with, his shivering ability. We see him actually vibrating a lot in this panel, the most vibration we've seen from Terashi so far in this, fight, with you actually getting a name to this vibration instead of him naturally using it, with him trying to tag Okubo. But of course, Okubo pulls out his synthesis and transitions from a grapple into a strike, which completely catches Terashi off guard and lands this amazing strike, which lands Terashi on his knees, similar to how Okubo landed on his knees early in the chapter. So Okubo has pulled out his synthesis in a very hype and clutch moment. Probably my favorite panel of this chapter, this switching up and absolutely destroying him, with him demonstrating that he can actually counter Terashi's Emperor Eye with his synthesis ability, which is very good to note and may be the ending factor of this fight. And then the last panel of Okubo talking some shit how Terashi is looking down on a real martial artist like himself. And that is the end of the chapter. I expect next chapter to see Terashi maybe pulling out some other moves, maybe actually going for the kill after getting disrespected so much by Okubo at the end of the chapter here. Maybe Terashi is going to kill Okubo like my initial prediction video said, but yeah, that's pretty much everything for today's review, guys. Hope you enjoyed. As always, shout out to the people who support the channel via the Patreon, but yep, that's it, guys. Peace.